You know, I feel like it's been a while since we've just sat down and drawn together, so let's sit down and draw together. You'll notice this lovely piece of Bristol paper in front of me. I wanted to draw the main character of my webcomic, Delaney, because I love him and miss him. Don't worry, I'm working on chapter 3, I promise. Feel free to grab your sketchbook and I don't know, do whatever people do with their sketchbooks. There's no way to know. I wanted to color him with these Arrtx acrylic markers. Full transparency, this video is not sponsored, but they did send these to me. So that is the plan. I did sketch out a thumbnail of what I wanted to do, and I know a lot of you guys probably wanted to see me do that. However, I didn't feel like it. There's no reason why I didn't, I just fully didn't feel like it. I did record me doing it, but I didn't like talk at all during it. So I do have this sketchbook spread off camera. This is the one I'm going to be making. I knew I wanted to draw one of them because, again, I love them and I miss them. And these ones I do want to make eventually, but since Arrtx did send these to me, I wanted to try using just this specific set, and these all require different acrylic markers that I have both in other sets and non-Arrtx acrylic markers. And Delaney is the one where this set has all of the colors that I need for him in it, so that is what we will be doing. I also, didn't warm up. As per usual. Although, unlike most times, that was a conscious decision because the past few days, here's a fun fact. I have been meaning to film this video for so long, but it is also heavy rainfall time in Florida. And so literally every single time, by the time I was done warming up with whatever warm-up sketch I had, it was pouring. So we're just gonna forego all the warm-ups and see how far I can get. I also don't typically draw this big. I usually draw either digitally, so I can just scale it up and down as I see fit, or whenever I'm doing traditional work, I usually work smaller because most of the traditional work I have done in the past has been alcohol markers, which typically means you want to draw smaller, because when you draw larger with alcohol markers, you tend to get that streakiness, because the marker can only cover so large of an area before it starts to struggle. And then as a result, I've always just started sketching smaller, but I feel like acrylic markers tend to work better when you work larger, because then you can get into those smaller areas easier. Because even though in the past with Arrtx markers, I've had the experience that the nibs are more flexible than the average acrylic marker, it still can be hard if you are a person like me who generally has a heavy hand to get into those smaller areas and provide finer details. And so whenever I do acrylic marker work, I tend to work larger because it's just easier all around. Is this scale good? Ignore this. I feel like these hands are not at the right angle, even though they look nice, which sucks. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a picture of myself in this pose. I feel like I'm gonna have to. You guys can see my, Actually, you really can't because of the glare, but you know what? You don't need to see it anyway. So the angle wasn't completely wrong. It was just a little wrong. I kind of said it in a joking way earlier, but I have been doing a lot of work on chapter 3. I don't know what it is about my webcomic, but like I'm convinced that it's ever so slightly cursed. Every single time I'm like really excited to work on it, some major life event happens where I can't. So, luckily nothing has been as bad as chapter 1, because that was postponed for like at least 2 years because of a major life event. But you know what? I cannot be stopped. It does also suck though, because most webcomic chapters tend to be on the shorter end, but for me with my comic, I felt it was very important to have the chapters cut off at a more natural point. And a lot of the times, like so far chapters 1 and 2 have been fairly lengthy. Chapter 3 will not be as lengthy, but I feel like generally still a bit longer than the average webcomic length. There's as I'm sure you can imagine, a size limit, but it's not like page length, it's like file size length, which can cause a problem for me because in order for me to meet the file size length requirement, I feel like I have to like nerf the quality. Something I want to do soon is to update the image quality for like the more important panels the best I can. I really should work on setting up a second angle for filming, so then that way I can cut to it In times like this, I realize this is a bit of a villain pose, and he's not a villain, but you know what? He's smarmy and egotistical like one, so he might as well be. So his face also needs to be a bit longer, I think. It's longer and sharper. This is a bit of a round face. But I don't know how to do sharp. That was like one of the whole premises of my last video. Have I learned nothing? Apparently not. But I don't want him to come across as evil, because he's not. He's just a bit of an ass at times. I don't know how his hair came to be, because this little, like, whatever this is right here, this wasn't always in his design. Over time it started happening and I'm like, well, it's there now. The struggles with drawing Delaney from the front is that like he has a high ponytail, but like in the center of its head. So whenever I'm drawing him from the front, it can be hard to make it look good. I think I want to have his hair come around like this, just because I like drawing hair. I don't know if it'll make sense for the post, but I want to draw hair. I have a character with a really long flowy ponytail, and you're telling me I can't draw it? Absolutely not. See if I can draw his eyes without having my head in the entire frame. I might peek in a little bit, but it'd be great if you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Acrylic markers can be a bit of a challenge for me because all of this pencil work is going to get completely covered with the acrylic markers. It can be tough for me to figure out how much detail to add in this sketch because on one hand, I want to plan everything out, but on the other hand, I don't want to waste my time. And the noses. I've been liking drawing them like this and then defining like this part, and then sometimes I'll still do this thing. With Delaney, it can be a bit hard because I always picture him having like a thinner nose, and I feel like doing something like that widens the nose a bit. I remember one time somebody asked, because I used to draw Delaney with like larger lips, but then I just stopped, and I'm gonna be honest, there's no reason for it. I think one day I just forgot and then continued to forget. I mean, I guess if it smears, it's not the worst thing, because it's gonna be covered by acrylic marker anyway. But you know what lead isn't going to be covered by acrylic marker? The lead on my hand. It's for sure gonna happen, because I didn't sketch this left side first, and I'm right-handed. Every single time I draw Delaney's hair, I think about this one comment I got. When I made my Pal World video, basically someone in the comments was trying to, like, discredit me by saying that, like, I also ripped off character designs, and I don't remember the character's name now, but some guy from Disgaea. Wanna know who he said the character was that I made by ripping off that guy? Delaney. I also just want to say, since longtime viewers of my channel will also remember, I used to always drink coffee. I still am. It's just out of frame. Ta-da! After you spill your coffee on your drawings one too many times, you tend to notice a pattern. And that pattern is you spill your coffee a lot. So you should do something about that. And you might also notice that I am not moving the paper around a lot. I taped the paper to the desk, you're welcome. When I decided I wanted to make traditional art videos again, I was reflecting on my old traditional art videos, and I was like, wow, that was probably really annoying. Because, I mean, whenever I do digital speed paints, people got so annoyed with how often I would flip and rotate the canvas, and, like, I can't blame them. But that's a big reason why I started using the recording feature in Clip Studio Paint, because that records brush strokes instead of time, and it also doesn't record, like, canvas flips and canvas rotations, so then that way it's a lot easier. For those of you who like to see my process, it's a bit of a downside because you don't get to see me like blend colors or do line art and stuff like that, but for the general viewing audience, it's definitely much better that way. I also have no idea what I want to do with the background of this. The last times I made finished traditional illustrations, I like cut it out and then did kind of like a scrapbooky sort of background with various materials I have, so maybe I'll do that. Depends if I can find anything that I think suits Delaney. Return of the King. By king, I mean me. I like when I pulled up my picture to draw the hands, and then I just started working on the eyes again. Start with the pinky. Do a real pinky out approach here. I feel like avoiding tangents is something I used to be really bad at, but because it was something that it was like the one thing where I was like, I gotta stop doing this. I feel like I eventually got really good at avoiding tangents. Who knew that if you practice improving on something, you'll improve at it? Did y'all know this? This won't make any sense if you haven't read my comic, but this is really giving, like, POV. You're Alice in chapter 1. You come across this strange vampire man and his werewolf friend, who hates him. I think it was during a live stream. Someone asked, like, if Lo doesn't like Delaney, why is he traveling with him? And I'm like, You can't expect me to answer that. Surely you must know the curse of making a webcomic that is taking 80 billion years to release is that I get really excited about like later story stuff where I'm like, wow, I can't wait for people to see like chapter 20. And I'm like, let's make chapter 3 first, Oliver. That's a great, we gotta start, so we gotta do that first. Can you imagine if like I released chapters 1, 2, and 3 and then 20? And left you all to wonder what happened. I was about to do the thing where I'm like, where's my phone? Like, buddy. Yeah, look at these hands. Use references, everybody. Did I just hear a kitty at my door? There's a kitty at my door. Hi, Abby. What are you doing? Sorry, I had to let the baby in. I say baby, but she's 12. She's a baby to me, damn it. If you want to jump on my lap, I'm gonna ask that you don't use all of your claws when you do it. Now let's see how long it takes her to start bumping my arm as she tends to do while I draw. Please don't nibble on my fingers, Abigail. Please don't nibble on my arms. Here, let me be clear. No nibbling. That's what I really should have said to begin with. I draw ruffles whenever I can because I will never change the person. People out there who cosplay and make clothes, make Delaney's jacket. You don't even have to do the full cosplay. Just make the jacket. Just wear it. It's a great look. And I would know I made it. I think I should figure out a way to add some hair over here just for composition's sake. Like when I don't touch anything on my setup and then it's all different anyways. It's great. But now's the fun part. Very excited to give these a go. I did also take a picture of this sketch when I was finished with it, which because of how opaque acrylic markers are, I would recommend doing that because sometimes with acrylic markers you'll draw something that you really like and then you cover it up, but then you forget what it looked like and then you can't make it good and then you cry. I do think the best place to start would be his shirt because that's kind of like underneath a lot of things. And then after that, I might jump to his eyes because the problem with starting with his shirt is that it is underneath everything, but it's also touching a lot of things. I guess we'll also just have to see how quick drying these are. I am curious to see how these work because other than filling out the swatch sheet, which I did remember they have them on their website this time, but other than making the swatch sheet, I haven't used them and they're very interesting because normally with acrylic markers, you shake them, but like these don't shake. From my experience with acrylic markers, you can't always do a lot of blending, but you can do a little bit. Also, for those of you who care about this stuff, the caps do fit on the back. For some people, that's like a big deal. It's not really a big deal for me, but if it is to you, there you go. I also didn't super play with a light source. I like kind of did, but for the most part I'm really just making this up. Something that I do sometimes with acrylic markers though is I do take like a paintbrush and blend it out just a little bit. I wonder what kind of paints are in here because they're called acrylic markers and that's just like what the medium is called. It just feels like it's probably more accurate to say that it's like a gouache. I did say that I'm drawing Delaney because he's the one where I can use just this set for, but I did struggle with all of like the gray/black tones in his design. Definitely a big like, Oliver, why did you decide to do that? I mentioned earlier that it has been raining a lot, so it's been difficult to film, and there was some suspicious looking dark clouds while I was waiting for my camera to charge, and I was like, please don't do this to me. For the actual colors, I don't want to use just this set, but I am probably going to allow myself to do some kind of line art at the end. I haven't decided exactly how I want to do that. I'm leaning towards a brush pen, but I have no idea. We'll figure that out later. We move on to arms, and then we'll see how quick drawing these are. God, Mo, your breath smells so bad. I feel so bad saying that given his state, but can't help it. It does stink. In case you were wondering what's been going on with me, my cat Mo got stomatitis. Don't worry, he's got a surgery scheduled. It does result in him getting stinky breath. So you want to soften this edge up, but I don't really know how to do that with these supplies. Is that it? I mean, I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get. It's something I noticed even when I was swatching. For some reason, the black was a lot juicier than the other ones. I don't know if it's like supposed to be like that or if I just got a faulty one. I mean, right now it's really working to my advantage, but I do also often forget Delaney is typically a girl's name because I just love this guy so much. He's so dear to me. Careful not to get any on my desk. I had enough foresight to tape this to my desk. I didn't have enough foresight to put something underneath it. Well, I mean, I guess if I do, I can tell you guys how easy it is to get these markers off of something. Looking at my little thumbnail that's off screen that you can't see, it does look like there's more of a light source coming from this this way. So I think maybe this arm would have a little bit more highlights on it. I do feel like these markers aren't as opaque as the other Arrtx markers that I've used. And I think that probably has something to do with the fact that you don't shake them. I think I'm gonna have to get some water. Hold on. Oh, wait, I have a water bottle in here. Joke's on you. Turns out I don't have to leave my seat. I don't want to be using too much water because this paper is not meant to hold water. Oh, yeah, it's so much easier to get those blended out things with water. Which, I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that like it's a surprise. Oh, up here. Oh, these are fast drying. Well, then I guess next we'll work on the yellow on his jacket. These lighter colors are so much easier to blend. Actually, I have no idea if that's an acrylic marker thing in general, or if it's just these ones where the lighter colors blend easier. Gonna be honest, I was not paying attention whenever I use acrylic markers. It is typical that lighter colors are less opaque, and because of that, that's probably why they're easier to blend. I do want to add some white, because if the light source is coming from over here, there would be some strong highlights coming from over here. I mean, I glanced up at the viewfinder on my camera. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm even doing over here because this is so bright. Just know that it's making a difference in real life. And you'll notice I have a green over here because a random art tip that I found forever ago is that by adding green in the shading, it'll make something look a little bit more gold. I don't want to overdo it, but I do want to do it because there's another Delaney fun fact that was more of my intention, but I was like, Oliver, if you give him like a subtly gold coat in your comic, you're going to want to die every time you draw it. So I decided against it. But I guess for fun one-off illustrations like this, I can hint at that more. I think what I'll do, focus on this, and then I'll probably go over the more harsh bits with the yellow or something. I wonder if I should also get one more darker color. I feel like these shadows aren't as dark as I had wanted them. I definitely think these are closer to gouache markers because they're doing the gouache thing where the colors are different sometimes after they dry. I'm glad I was so careful with these dark colors because how much less opaque these yellows are. I would be fighting for my life trying to cover those up. It is a bit of a shame that the white isn't as juicy like the black, but also again, I don't know if the black was just a fluke. Since they are less opaque, it does give for good opportunities to do this sort of effect that I like to do sometimes. Sort of harsh, unblended line against the shading. I think it's a neat effect. I do have a question for my lovely viewing audience. That's you. Because I'm realizing that, like, the way I'm doing this, I'm, like, rendering each section individually. That's strange. I don't know how common that is versus, like, putting down all of, like, the base tones and then leaving them for highlights and then putting down the highlights and then putting down the shadows and, like, you know? But instead I'm like, okay, I'm gonna render the collar, I'm gonna render the sleeve, and then I'm gonna render the sleeve of his coat. Like, I don't know if that's weird. Let me know what you do. Okay, these go- There's a blanket on my chair and I just got marker on it. It's not layering over this color very well. Just use my finger. Let's go crazy. I'm such a messy artist. I don't think I've ever used an art supply and not gotten it all over my hands. Check this out. No cap. I have never said that in my life. And now we go back. These colors. Sometimes when I talk, it sounds like I'm not enjoying myself when I'm drawing. I am. I love art. I just sometimes sound sarcastic, and also I'm always tired. Actually, I forgot I gotta do the inside of the sleeve. Did also want to make it look like the clothes have a bit more dimensionality to them. Like a super thin line across here. So it's like this sleeve has an edge to it. I have, again, no idea how well that is showing up on camera, but in real life it is making a big difference. I do want to do the same thing, but with this color. And I also don't know if doing it now is smart because I have to color the rest of that jacket. Probably just have to do this again later, but we will see. Let's color in these squares just for the heck of it. Let me actually color this whole part with the highlight color. Because of how his arms are here, I don't actually know how much highlights would be on his torso. There would also be a shadow like right here cast from his hands, but I'm going to be real with y'all, I don't know if I'm going to be brave enough to attempt to do that. I don't know why I'm going over these so intricately, as if these beads aren't going to be black and would go over this yellow very easily. I'm going to ask that you all ignore this band-aid that materialized on my finger. I definitely didn't have to stop recording to go peel some sweet potatoes, and I definitely didn't cut myself with the potato peeler because that's stupid. Who would do that? Did kind of lose my train of thought though with this drawing, so that's fun. I love ADHD. I'm struggling to figure out how this would be shaded with this light source. Actually, I think this might all be in shadow. I'm doing my best to analyze the details of this without sticking my head directly in frame, as I tend to do. Like, yeah, I'm a professional artist, I'm a professional YouTuber, I've been doing this for many years. Been doing it since about 2018. Proceeds to stick my head directly in front of the camera so no one can see what I'm doing. Can't help it, I don't really know what happened over here. It's fine. It's fine. We don't gotta know what happened over there. I think there needs to be more shadows over here. I don't know why I keep saying shadows like that. Shadows. I feel like this specific marker, every time it dries, I like super see the strokes, which is not, I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there. I haven't had that with any of the other colors. Oh, okay. Oh, there. I should did this. This is a marker in my mouth, in case you're wondering. Let's set the white over here for now. This, or the white can roll back over, that's also fine. Whenever I have this green, it's hard to tell how much I need to blend because it dries a different color. I wonder if maybe one of the reasons I keep, like, whenever this dries, I see the strokes is because I am doing the alcohol marker thing of going in little circles. Now that I say it out loud, that's most definitely it. I definitely should have worked on the shading on this side first, but, you know, I feel like I've made a lot of not smart decisions throughout the making of this drawing. What's one more? There's a little bit of hair on this nib, and I was about to be like, why is there hair here? Completely forgetting that I just fully dropped it on my blanket. I mean, really, the hair could have come from anywhere. There's no way to know. Not super vibing how this area is. I think there's just a lot happening, but I don't really know how to fix that. I think the issue I was having, I always get super scared to add like really dark values, but I think maybe that's just what this needs over here. If that's drawing a little bit, I can maybe add some lighter tones, but I don't want to go too crazy with it. Let that sit for a minute. In the meantime, we all work on this area, but I didn't. Okay, we'll just try our best. We'll do one of these. Oh god, this is such an uncomfortable way to draw. But I have no one to blame but myself. Add a bit of a line here. This is... okay, I mixed these caps up. And it was only a matter of time. Now let's try and hide some of these streaks that I so frantically made. Trying desperately to fix this area. I'm struggling to add more of this green color because I feel like over here it worked really well, but for some reason I just cannot. I'm not as happy with how it looks on this side. This part's pretty in highlights. I don't know if there would be too much green. I think I just want to add tiny little hints of it. I think there'd be a bit more highlights on his upper arm versus his lower arm. And then here there might be a bit of this lighter color at the very top, but for the most part it's just gonna be this. Definitely gonna have to go over that. Did not do a good job erasing that pencil that was there. God, I cannot wait to render the hair in this drawing. I know a lot of people struggle with hair, but hair is like one of my favorite things to draw and shade. And I feel like I always enjoy them with acrylic markers too. I just feel like there's one too many wrinkles, one too many wrinkles, too many, there are too many, one too many. Too many wrinkles, there's specifically one too many. I really wish I remember how I did that. I really like how that looks, and I don't remember what I did. Cover up those pencil marks that we love. Just kidding, we hate them. It is unfortunate that his jacket is yellow because yellow is infamously a hard color to use to cover things up with. The problem with this green is that I definitely have to add it very sparingly. I feel like it looks really good when used as an accent, but if I use it too much, it'll be like pretty glaring. But I just also want to keep adding it because it looks nice. I don't think there'd be too much shading on the outside of the sleeve. Like down here would definitely be darker, but most of the shading on this side would be pretty simple, I think. I feel like this part's a bit weird, but also I don't know what to do about it. I don't know how those wrinkles would look. So we're just gonna leave it. If you're looking at that part, no you're not. I believe I'm done with the yellows for now. Exciting stuff. Whenever you look at Delaney's design, like the blacks on his jacket are noticeably different than like the blacks on his shirt, which is notably different from the blacks in his hair. But I only got so many blacks in this set, so we're just working with what we got. I might do something a little crazy. I might just go straight in with this black, because this part here and then these beads are the darker blacks on his jacket, so I might just go straight in with the black and then add highlights. We'll see how that goes for me. I'm gonna make all these tiny little circles because I'm always like, if you guys are making a character for a comic, make sure their design isn't too complicated because you're gonna draw them a lot. Not me though, I'm gonna make them super complicated. I don't know, I'm adding these ones. I'm most definitely gonna have to fix them when I color in these straps. And it feels like another instance of, can you even see it on camera? I'm like struggling to figure out what would be in highlights and what would be in shadows because ruffles are such a complex shape, and I know that. And yet, I'm always like, here's an idea. As I'm getting into the weeds of this, I'm struggling to find which parts are hair and which part is collar. Love that for me. Whenever I use acrylic markers, I do generally have a good time. I like it. I think it's fun. However, the main issue that I have is that I can't be as, like, clumsy with it, you know? I guess that goes for, like, traditional art in general. Like, whenever you do digital art and you're, like, rendering a specific part of the drawing, you can just use some select tools to select that area and then just go crazy. But here I have to, like, around when I'm going around the collar, I have to be super careful. That's not something I feel like I'm good at historically. Add these highlights here because I forgot about these beads because they're mostly hidden by his hand and I have no object permanence. And then this would all be highlights. How did I blend it so nice over there? I feel like I did such a good job blending it, like right here, and now I'm like, I love doing things well and then forgetting how I did it. Set this aside in case I need to blend. Wait, no, I forgot the parts in the center. Oops, I am smart. I am cool, and I am good at what I do. Oh yeah, working on those buttons first was not a smart thing to do on my end. I'm not even gonna worry myself about. I'm not gonna be careful around there is what I'm trying to say. I feel like whenever I do parts in a drawing like this area, I can very easily fall into the habit of over-rendering. Because realistically, there wouldn't be much to do here. But because there's a lot going on in the rest of the drawing, I feel like there's gotta be a lot going on here, even though what's actually here is a pretty simple shape and there wouldn't be much shading. I like how when I added these buttons the first time while I was doing it, I was like, it's a bad idea to do this first because I'm gonna mess up and I'm going to go over them again anyway. And then I proceeded to do it anyway. And now here I am, fixing them. Oh, is there a bear at my door? Hey, Zona. You come to visit? Would you like to say hello to the camera? Are you gonna draw? You gonna draw? No, I know, you don't got thumbs. I generally really love the colors in this set, but if there was one complaint I would give about them is that I feel like there aren't too many transition colors to black. It's like the black is so dark. Like, you know how sometimes when you get like a black marker or a black like pencil, it's like an off black? This is like a pure black. But then there really aren't any other dark colors that you can use to like transition between them. Like the second darkest color I think is this one. As you can see, there's a pretty, it's not as smooth of a transition as it can be. And I mean, luckily the black is super juicy, so you can blend a bit, but I do wish there was like more darker colors, so then that way the black doesn't seem as harsh when you're using it. Skin time. Should I do the eyes first, or should I leave the eyes for last? I think I'll do the eyes after I do the rest of the face. I do also feel like there weren't too many purple options. Like there's this one that I'm using, and then there's some like dark purples. And I don't use a lot of purple in general, so it's not a big deal, but it did make things complicated with him because I had trouble finding like good shading colors and everything. For the highlights, I had no idea what to do. So I just settled on this pink color. I also feel like this pink is a bit drier. I mean, that could be my fault. Maybe I just didn't cap it enough when I was done making my little swatch set. The tiniest bit of highlight here. Actually, I think there might be a bit on his forehead too. I'll just do this shape and then I'll work it out later. Right now, it looks like he's wearing a very strange makeup look. It'll look fine. It'll look normal, I promise. I said that when you work with acrylic markers, you generally want to work bigger, and I still stand by that, but drawing faces on a large scale with acrylic marker is a bit difficult. Just because skin is very smooth, and it can be hard to do that. Yeah, the face is a definite trust the process this part of this drawing. I do have faith it's gonna come out good, but oh boy, it looks a bit rough right now. I'm gonna have to pull up my picture I took of the sketch because boy did those details get lost. Now I have to be careful because the next color I have to shade with is a bit dark. I'm gonna have to keep those uncapped because I might have to do a lot of blending. Ah! That could have been very dangerous. I'm scared to do this mouth, but I know I gotta be brave, Oliver. Maybe add some white to the very edge. I'll add some pink rim lighting over here because why not? You know, I think for not having super great colors to draw his skin with, I think I did a pretty good job. I really need to study lip structure. I feel like that's one thing where if I'm not actively working on it, I forget how it all looks. I'm not super happy with that forehead area, but also I don't know what else I can do. Set the skin colors aside for now. I'm gonna work on his eye colors. Maybe now he'll look like he actually has some life to him. I was holding my breath. I think for this bottom lash line, I'll probably just wait for a liner, honestly. Typically, when I have an issue like I do with the face, where I feel like I have like really light colors and then really dark colors and not a lot of mid-tones, I would go in with like colored pencils to try and like balance that out. I might do that after filming, but for the sake of this video, I do want to try using. I want to limit it to this as much as I can. I'm going to use liners and I'll probably use a white gel pen just because it's thinner than this. Other than that, I want to try and limit it to specifically these, just so you guys can see what you can do with them on their own. I did in fact save the hand picture. This reference picture is definitely going to help with the lighting, but it is also a bit of a different lighting source, so I do have to try and make some stuff up, so we'll see how good I am at that. Since this finger is tucked away in here, it would definitely be darker than this one. I'm very much struggling to find the mid-tones in this hand. I just realized I completely forgot to add some shading to these fingertips right here. And then I know the next hand is going to be more difficult for me to render because there would definitely be highlights like around here. They're not in the picture I took. Well, recap for what just happened. I dropped my cap, so I went to go catch it. I didn't catch it, and instead got paint on my hands because I hit the marker. I have amazing reflexes, clearly. Since most of the highlights will be on this underside of the hand, I guess we can start there. Now here comes the part where I guess, because the other hand looks so good as the thing. I don't want to mess it up. I think there would be this dark bit here. Okay, the more I look at this forehead, the more I don't like it, so I'm just gonna, it happens. Let me actually add a bit, just so I don't lose where this finger is. Add some of this down now. And now I have no idea how the rest of this hand will look. Up here, most of the dark shading would be around where the fingers are touching, I believe. No, here comes the part that I'm scared of. I wouldn't be as scared if this color wasn't so dark. No, I don't like it. Let's hope I can cover it up enough. I might come back to that hand later. I'm not super satisfied with it. I think for the most part, I'm just gonna call it here as I say as I continue to add things. I'll do the hair and then see how I feel about that hand and if I know what to do about it. Actually start with this hair down here because I feel like it'd be hard if this isn't dry in time. It'll be hard to do this area. I also feel like his hair is where I'm going to have to reference my sketch the most, so I guess I'll just put my phone there. I grabbed the wrong cap and also was trying to put it on upside down. I am the smartest man alive. Definitely gonna have to do a lot of blending with this black. And then in my thumbnail, I did use this like reddish, brownish color. I don't know if I really want it. We'll find out. I guess the good part about his hair is that it is so dark, so if I don't like it, this will be easy to cover up. I was just really looking for different ways to separate the different dark tones. I'm trying so hard to see if this is good, but every angle I try to look at it from, I just get glare from my light. I think I like this color. I will add it to my drawing, thank you very much. I'm gonna blend this section down here, even though I should probably wait, but I haven't made a single good decision this entire drawing. I'm not gonna start now. No, I think I'm just gonna make this corner really easy on myself. I'm just gonna, this is all gonna be in shadow. So then that way I just don't gotta deal with it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have a rhyme or reason as to how I'm adding this. I'm just kind of going wherever I think it looks nice. That's my entire thought process. You know, sometimes that's all you really need. Do things that'll look good. I guess I'll work on the back of his ponytail head area. Y'all know the back of the ponytail head area? We all have it, even if you don't think you do. Much like how I said I would love for cosplayers to make Delaney Delaney's jacket. I would also love to try and see cosplayers make a wig of Delaney's hair, just because I want to see how accurate they could get it, because I'll be the first to admit his hairstyle's kind of wild, especially with this like hair curl. I just want to see if it could be done. Although I feel like, considering how long his hair is, that would be quite an expensive wig to make. Looking at this, trying to figure out if this would be in shadow or highlight. I think I'm gonna force it to be mostly in shadow, because this right here is for sure gonna have highlights on it. And I feel like if this is also mostly highlights, it'll be a bit much. All right, don't hold my breath. Okay, I think it looks good. Thank God, because that would be really hard to cover up. Pro tip, if you are ever going to blend your acrylic markers, definitely have a scrap piece of paper on the side where you can clean off your nibs, because the amount of blending I'm doing, my nibs would be ruined. Now I'm not quite sure how to go about this strand right here. Yeah, I guess I'll just start by coloring it in with this. Good old reliable finger blending. The original paintbrush, and add a bit of this dark color down here, and then fail to blend with my finger. Is that how you thank me for calling you the original paintbrush? I feel like there needs to be more contrast in this strand, but I'm not entirely sure where to put the darker colors. Yeah, let's add the darker bits down here. And then this bit down here would be completely dark, I think. This part here needs to be darkened more, but I think I'm just gonna save that for the liners, because I'm scared. Actually, now that I'm looking at this bit up here, I think I need a... Yeah, there we go. Well, I am just realizing this bit right here doesn't make too much sense. I think there needs to be a chunk here. Work on the top of his head now. I mean, I don't think there would be too much going on back here, really. It'll just be mostly these dark colors. I did mention recently on my channel that whenever I'm doing traditional works and I do line art, while I do try to show as much of my process as possible, I feel like a lot of it ends up getting cut because I find it very meditative and I'm just kind of sitting here silently doing that. I feel like that's also true whenever I do hair. Whenever I'm rendering hair, same sort of thing. I just really find it calming and relaxing that I'm sitting here in silence doing it, and then suddenly I realize, oh yeah, I'm filming a video. I should probably say something interesting. I think I should shade his ponytail back here before I really get into the weeds of this chunk of hair. Luckily, I think it would be mostly dark. I am also thinking of down here extending this ponytail to off the edge too, because it cuts off over here, and I feel like just compositionally that would look a bit nicer if like it got cut off on both sides instead of just the one. And then unlike the rest of the ponytail, I'm gonna wait to do this because this is exactly where my hand needs to rest. Look at me being smart. Let me actually add more here. Let's make this more of a pure black because I want to darken up that strand a little bit. But I really like this sort of shape right here in the shadows. I don't know how much sense this would make with the light source, but I feel like the piece kind of needs it. There definitely would be less black bits in this area since it's closest to the light source. Definitely gonna add some down here though, because my god, there needs to be some contrast down here. I just got an idea for the highlights in the eyes. I think it would be cool if it was like a white highlight, but then sort of like outlined with this color, and I feel like the best way to do that would be to go in with this, and then once that dries, add some white in the center of that. That'd be neat, right? I hope so, because I already did it. Oh, I forgot to add some red to this bit, and now this paint is wet. Love that for me. We did it. I think it's time for line art in white gel pen now. First and foremost, I gotta get in here for the eyes. You already know. Since I was adding white highlights as I went, I don't think there would be too much for me to add with the gel pen. I think it would be mostly touching up some areas that I couldn't quite refine enough with the acrylic marker. For line art, I'm probably just gonna use my microns because I have them in a few different colors. I definitely need black, and then I can use this orange for some of the yellow bits, and then that pink. Okay. Oh god, I gotta get in here for the eyes again. Can't imagine there's going to be too much line art. Again, going to be more defining areas I couldn't quite get right with the acrylic markers, like this thin line under the eyeball. Glad to see you can put liners on top of these markers pretty well though, because sometimes with acrylic markers, even after they're dry, if you put liners on top of them, the nibs will like rub off some of the paint. These ones don't seem to be doing that, so that's cool. I actually also grab a gray for these. Okay. That's fine. I want to define the teeth a bit more, but I don't want them to stand out too much. And my camera's dying because of course it is. I guess I'll just finish adding this line art off camera, and then I will come back for the final touches. Alright, the line art has been finished, and you will notice I cut him out. I figured we'll just decorate this drawing all nice while I talk about my final thoughts. Yeah, I'm also putting it on this. It's like a old sketchbook cover. I took the paper out and made a different sketchbook with it. I messed with all of this off camera to find an arrangement I like, and then I took a picture of it with my phone, and now here we are. And for these bigger papers, I'm probably going to use Mod Podge, and then I'm going to use the Elmer's glue for the smaller things. Overall, I did definitely like these markers. They are different from the other acrylic markers from Arrtx that I've used. I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. I don't know all of the exact specifications of acrylic markers. I don't know what makes them super good. Out of all of the acrylic markers I've used, I have had the most fun using acrylic markers when it is Arrtx markers. Light it down a bit before it dries, please. Okay, we're good. But because of my opinion on acrylic markers and my knowledge of acrylic markers, I think it makes the most sense to compare Arrtx markers to each other, because there's these ones, which are the ones that I've used in this video, and then these ones, which they have also sent me. As you can see, they are both brush nibs. Compared to the two of those, overall, I do prefer these ones that they have sent me previously, but that's not to say that these ones are bad. The main difference in the markers themselves, the ones that I used in this video, you don't shake. These ones, you do shake. And there are pros and cons to both of those. Obviously, it's a lot more convenient to not have to shake, because then, one, your arm doesn't get tired if you're like me and you are not physically active. But also for the ones where you do shake them, I feel like it's easier to predict what the paint inside of the marker is going to act like. Generally, there is some good consistency all throughout, but like I mentioned, the black was super juicy, and that, I think it was the pink I was using, it felt more dry. Fun fact, this originally, there was a horse here with some sort of like inspirational horse girl text on it. I cut it out and then I put a black piece of paper back here and then one of my doily papers. But in terms of acrylic markers that you shake and don't shake, I don't know if there's like an inherent better or worse one to have. I think it's just a matter of personal preference, and I think after using these ones, I prefer the ones where you do shake them for the reasons that I mentioned. If you are a person though who uses acrylic markers a lot, I can definitely recommend the set that I tried out in this video, because overall the colors are very nice. That is the one thing that I prefer in this set over this set, is the color choices. I feel like generally the colors are ones that I can see myself using a lot more of. That said, I wouldn't say that it isn't a limited color palette, because like I mentioned earlier, when I was coloring Delaney's skin, I feel like there weren't a whole lot of purples. But again, I'm not someone who typically uses a lot of purple anyway, so that's not like a super huge deal. But other than that, I did really like everything about them. I thought that the paint quality inside of the markers were really nice. The nibs were a really nice balance of being soft enough to where you can get that line width variation, but also firm enough to where you don't lose control of it. That's something that's very important with brush nibs. And it is just really nice that they come with like sticker labels, and you can kind of like choose where you put them, so then that way you can put them in a place that's easiest for you to spot. If you were to ask me which of these two sets I would personally recommend, it would be these ones, but these ones, still a nice grab. Obviously, since I am just using these ones, I can't compare them with like how long each individual marker lasts. My instinct is to say that these ones will last a bit longer, just because looking at them, the barrel width seems to be about the same length, but these ones are a bit taller. But I also don't know what the inside of this marker looks like. Even out of these two sets of Arrtx markers, even if they aren't the ones that I prefer, they are still very good markers. And yeah, I do want to say thank you to Arrtx for sending these to me. Arrtx has been a friend of the channel for a while now, and it's always been wonderful working with them. I've genuinely enjoyed all of the products that they've sent me. Yeah, this piece of paper was exactly this long, but it was like a bit thicker. It was like this-ish. So I had to cheat this. But also, if I am timing this right, those markers, you should be able to get a good deal on them, so go check that out. I'm gonna have to go get another glue stick. I mean, I guess I could use the Mod Podge that's literally right there. Maybe I should also figure out what to do here now, because that... Cool. I mean, I do have these that I was going to put on the crown, but I guess I could put put them like around the crown maybe. Look, I have his name. Oh, his name is Deal, actually, my bad. I can move him now. Get out of here, dude. Oh, he killed a plant. It's because I tried to move him. His ego is so big, he's like, you can't make me leave. I'm just keep looking at this, and I wonder if I could cover that up with a colored pencil. Which, funny enough, Arrtx did also send me their colored pencils a while back. Is there a good color match? Not really. Maybe if I like press very, very lightly. Yeah, it's not gonna work. I forgot how much holding breath you do when you ink things traditionally. I've been spoiled with the undo button. Yeah, this isn't like a perfect solution, but I think it does help. Let's hide it. Like if you look closely, it's there, but just don't look too closely. Stop it. Stop looking closely. For him, I definitely need to use the Mod Podge. He's curling too much. I'm gonna have to do this in parts. I'm gonna have to stand here holding him down. So how are you guys doing? You doing good? I hope you're doing good. Did want to add these, and I do have these. I really wanted to add this one somewhere. I'm not quite sure where I want to do it. These do not like my tweezers, but it's okay because I like my tweezers. Since I had to add a dark outline here, I wonder if I should do the same thing with these letters, so then that way it actually seems intentional. You know, like I'm hiding something I messed up. Yeah, I feel like at a certain point I did definitely phone in this outline. I love this because I just love the sound that this makes. I think this corner is probably the best place. Yeah, there we are. Yeah. We did it. If you have any questions about these markers, let me know. I think I covered everything, but also very easily could have missed something. So if you have any questions, let me know and I will do my best to answer. If you are interested in getting them for yourself, you can find them in the description box. Again, this video is not sponsored, but they did send these to me free of charge. So thank you, Arrtx. Y'all are super cool. And yeah, I think that's it from this version of me. Let's go to another version of me to say thank you to my patrons. I'd like to give a quick thank you to all of my patrons for helping make this video possible, especially my tiers 3 and 4 members. Big shout out to Jules, Sammy Bear 127, Sugar Cookie 2, Miyoko Arts, Sage Rosato, It's Dorky Arts, Castle Roodle, Jamie, JDOs, Creatively Anxious, Dazzy Bones, Malka 2, Jay Johnson, Vivi Brown, Bread, Fantastic Artist, Newly D, Joss, Blue Devil 4, Rin Rinny, Tina K, Oswin, Sammy the Boy Draws, Caden, Anime Fan 110, Uane Emon, Art Iconics, Damaged Coda, Diana Riano, Boo, Sam, Soap Boy Ray, Desnook Arts, Nishi Studios, Fog Scorpio, Maxi Wellington, Saki Saki, Zoe235, Cosmic Wolf 326, Meteor Shower 04, Mediocre at Worst, Caleb Sanchez, Joan, Dinksalot, T, Next Door Sketch, Small Bean Soda, June, Sayel, Maramaya, Kira, Eliezer, Avocado is my name, Alex, Google Doc, Ghastly Bow, Tanaya Hayworth, and Mowerbeck. Thank you all so much for the extra support. It means a lot to me. And if you're interested in becoming a part of my Patreon, you can find the link in the description box below. Okay, you're gonna bite that sticker off.